In a shocking televised exposé still reverberating across entertainment and royal circles worldwide, comedian Graham Norton produced a trove of private emails and text messages appearing to confirm years of swirling rumors that Meghan Markle relentlessly bullied and abused staffers both before and after her marriage to Prince Harry. The stunning leaks unfolded piece by piece during Norton's guest appearance on Andy Cohen's Watch What Happens live Clubhouse broadcast on Bravo, sending the typically outrageous host himself into stunned silence as the Duchess of Sussex's behavior was systematically dismantled as cruel, depraved, and psychologically ruinous, based on the never-before-seen digital paper trails. What began as Cohen's usually frothy and irreverent celebrity interview took a shockingly serious turn right out of the gate after Norton somberly warned he arrived carrying definitive proof disproving Markle's repeated public rebuttals claiming accusations of workplace intimidation against her were merely a calculated campaign of disinformation. The British funny man then wasted no time unloading email after email displaying the former actress frequently berating, threatening, and ridiculing those around her often with unusual vindictiveness over remarkably trivial matters. I have in my possession an exhaustive collection of emails, texts, and other documentary evidence hardwiring Meghan Markle's precise role as a truly sickening aggressor who quite clearly deployed her imperial celebrity cult clout to dramatically demean and dehumanize each and every subordinate worker over whom she governed with the most unrepentantly cutthroat oppression, Norton grimly stated. For years, the Duchess has gone entirely unchecked and unchallenged in bullying countless innocents through some egomaniacal power-starved delusion akin to Joan Crawford from Mommy Dearest at her most unervingly vindictive. One by one, Norton began reading out snippets of emails with extremely troubling tones, messages, and language as jaws collectively dropped on set and among viewers eyewitness to the shocking reveals. In one email, an irritated Markle bluntly orders a personal assistant named Melissa be terminated over a misspelling. Get me shed of that miserably ineft mupfuger Melissa's drain and break on my productivity assists immediately for her disrespectable stainswords daring to reflect on the Duchess brand. Other emails displayed frustrations quickly escalating into rage spirals whenever demands were not met with utmost immediacy. In one email thread to a fashion director named Raina, she threatened psychological torment for not procuring her wanted garments within 90 minutes. The time to get me my deliverables is over now, you inslubdent self-hate ing strunt agent. Now encounter my crushing fantas monster mind games if instructed cells are not available my dent wants for dashery in under 2 or. And here is my personal favorite where Meghan throws a more ethereal, existential crisis font rant why at a lowly young female Kensington Palace tea room attendant for leaving streaks on a tea kettle, Norton continued while brandishing even more shocking entitled tantrums captured in the moment. Did you not go to kettle-dreamt school attending? How dare you service your slef aroma filth clouding arounds my pressurized lotus sea, you, peace spaces and no more of your stains Emma earth and yes sing princessect refined before savageries ah ken. You are civilly intoxicanged. But if those brief samples proved unnerving bombshells for millions of viewers largely only previously familiar with Markle's more carefully curation in media appearances and public activism campaigns, Norton was just getting started. He then proceeded to divulge even more manic, excessively cruel diatribes and violent verbal assaults toward those deemed failures in her acrimonious quest for aesthetic perfection and spiritual enlightenment. Again, I share this documentation not for tabloid sport but in hopes for finally achieving some solemn accountability for every royal staffer and production underling who has been terrorized, gaslit, and emotionally quarterzed by Meghan Markle's pitiless thirst to shame them into debasement through wackadoo supremacy psychogames rivaling the most unspeakably lurid of Charles Manson family grotesqueries. The Irishman emphasized while pulling out transcripts of text messages, each string more unhinged than the last. One exchange involved her lashing a Spotify producer nicknamed Hawkeye over what Markle derided as intolerable tone muddles in podcast scoring efforts. Why have your ears mired and tubby thumped in natal pig audio sluice QMPS? You unsacred wool wound over Wyoming LMAO defective worm. May spider's eggs infest your cochlear all thread scornged. Somehow even more concerning were texts aimed at River, a beleaguered wardrobe assistant growing increasingly distressed over Markle's demands for incessant alterations to ensembles in unrelenting pursuits of some imagined astral sartorial immaculism. In words that could only be interpreted as psychologically deranged spiritual warfare, the messages showed Harry's wife lashing out, lower underlings like devolved sheath charter ignorances remain unreborn to sense swayed rasquash frequency graces cleansing my queen mandala sinew flows daily. So pay mun tid to mistresses arching welkin cores before nadir sparks walk not rope lines circumferencizing obe ahimsa sashes. Things took an even darker turn when Markle's texts revealed eruptions of self-harm over perceived wardrobe failures in achieving some transcendent enlightened, cosmic blue peace she interpreted as her rightful identity. By simpering in on perfects tizzy wav you eviscerate me gaith wally so thus mea culpa mutilaquaran of 15 lashings forthwith by ruwaki Kane shall kiss scourge face print in Achio mox lipsticks mox as vipra last text recits vile 8 are asengaquiz. From handwritten memo screeds to obscure audio journals depicting hour-long delusional diatribe spirals with only Markle's lone voice spouting improvisational shards of flowery language degrading herself and others in some lucid fantasy where she bent spiritual realms to her dominion. The mountain of proof only grew more unnerving as Norton slowly unpacked each new avenue of evidence substantiating even palace insiders' most incredible accusations of Markle's cruel, punishing, and delusional lashings toward staff as well as her own fractured psyche. I think what shocks me most is how these artifacts completely vindicated every whisper we always heard, that Meghan exerted some kind of psychological chokehold over the entire Windsor operation through brilliantly camouflaged, pseudo-mystical brainwashing game that overwhelmed and subjugated people too afraid to question her authority or rebuke the insanity. Andy Cohen finally weighed in after remaining in stunned reverie for virtually the entire hour-long evidentiary marathon. There simply is no other explanation for the otherworldly language and utterly baroque thought loop suffocating discourse so completely beyond any productive working relationship. By the broadcast's end, Norton had successfully presented literally thousands of pieces of corroborated digital evidence spanning multiple years thoroughly refuting Markle's claims she was merely a hapless workplace victim rather than a gleefully oppressive aggressor waging campaigns of emotional terror under cover of lofty empowerment and palatial entitlement. What's more, the records also displayed a frightening severance from reality where trivial wardrobe oversights, minor beverage spills, or commonplace staffer shortcomings would send the Duchess off into manic spirals freely denigrating all involved as lowly, civilly intoxicated entities failing to worship some higher metaphysical plane she saw herself occupying as humanity's embodied new rule and spirit. At one level, I guess Meghan simply weaponized her Duke and Duchess roles as literal licenses to operate free from ethics norms in entirely traumatizing subordinates. But then you hit these truly transcendental crucibles where she fully untethered into some imaginary realm where her very vibrational frequencies were somehow sacredly ordained to force global enlightenment events through.